Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. Welcome to the channel. Let's check this out. 20 German words Americans use all the time. I'm Canadian. I'm pretty near to America though. The border's just right over there. It's pretty close. I'm gonna check out this video. Shout out to Feli from Germany, and I'm interested to learn what these German words are. I'm sure that I'll know what they are, but it's interesting to observe and find out how different countries use different words and how meanings change. Language is fascinating. Let's check it out.
You have definitely used these words before in English, maybe even on a daily basis, but did you know that they're actually German? Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I have been living in Cincinnati, Ohio off and on since 2016. So a few weeks ago, I made a video about 20...
How many people have gone from Munich to Cincinnati? Interesting.
20 English words that we use in German, and a lot of them actually have a completely different meaning in German than they do in English, like old-timer, just to give one example, which refers to an old person in English, but to German speakers, an old-timer is a vintage car. Check out the video to find out about the other 19 English
Hey, how you doing there, old-timer? Wanna go for a beer?
words that we use differently in German. But today I'll talk about the opposite, basically, so about German words that are used in English. There aren't nearly as many German words in English as there are English words in German, but there are actually more than you would think. And a lot of them are words that people use all the time, but they don't really know that it's a German word. And even I wasn't really aware of how many German words are used in English. So for me, it was
probably until she moved to Cincinnati.
Every time I first heard someone use one of those words. Like, they're just saying something in English, and suddenly I'm like, wait, what? You just spoke
Cincinnati,
German?
Ohio.
So for today's video, I made a list of 20 German words that are used in English, and I just picked the ones that are either used a lot or
Holy Toledo, it's Miss Ohio. That's the best I've seen in a while.
or that I just thought were funny.
Little Eminem reference.
But before we start with the list, I'd like to introduce today's sponsor, Skillshare, which is an online learning community that offers thousands of classes for creative and curious.
So it's an ad. Holy Toledo, it's Miss Ohio. That's the best I've seen in a while. This chick's catty, but she's from Cleveland. Is that a miniskirt? If it's a maxi, that's the shortest thing for a dress. Cincinnati. I missed something there, but
people.
Skillshare.
So there are
All right.
a lot of video classes about photography, video. Journaling in times can be like by taking a journaling or painting class, for example. I've actually taken a class called Simple Productivity, really helpful for weeks. Make sure that are used in English.
Let's get to the words. Kindergarten. That sounds like a German word.
Let's start with one of the most known ones.
Kindergarten.
And that is kindergarten. In German, we pronounce it Kindergarten, and it literally means children's garden. And even though the word is used in a very similar way in the two languages, it's not 100% the same. In Germany, kindergarten isn't part of the school system, but it's more like a daycare. Kids can go there from the age of 3 up until they start first grade, but it's not mandatory for parents to send their kids to kindergarten, and there is no mandatory curriculum either. Some kids may practice math and writing in kindergarten, but it's not a class setting, and the focus is usually more on playing and activities like doing crafts, singing together, going on field trips, and those kind of things.
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and when I think of kindergarten, I think of when kids first go to school. So that's interesting that kindergarten in Germany is more of a playtime, like almost like a daycare, as I think our definition would kind of sort of be.
Things, while in the US, kindergarten is the year before first grade,
right?
And it's part of the school system. That's why it's also called K to 12, kindergarten to 12th grade. So the kindergartens usually belong to a school and are a little more focused
Kindergarten
on
Cop,
academics. So
masterpiece of cinema.
Different meaning in Germany and the US. And what I find funny is that the German concept of kindergarten is what Americans also call preschool sometimes, while Vorschule, the literal translation for preschool in German, basically stands for the American concept of kindergarten. So it's somewhat switched. Some German kindergartens do offer a Vorschule the year before first grade to prepare the kids a little academically.
Germany's a hard accent to nail down.
I actually had no clue
German,
Americans used this German word before I came here, and the first time I heard
something to do with sneezing.
It so funny to me.
They use it for sneezing, right?
Is what we say for bless you in German, and Americans seem to use it that way too. Especially among younger people, I found that they usually use it in a more funny way, but it can also be just used with a normal tone. The word itself actually just means health in German, so whenever someone sneezes, we wish them health. Just like Gesundheit, I didn't know that this word was used in English before I moved to the US. We spell it with 2 T's in Germany, but we pronounce it the same way.
Kaputt.
And it basically has the same meaning.
I think in North America, well, I would think kaputt usually means like zip. Kaputt. I don't know. Let's see what she said.
In both languages, it means broken, damaged,
I'm confused
or
now.
destroyed.
I feel like I'm back in school.
My phone is kaputt. Mein Handy ist kaputt. Or
Kaputt.
it can also mean exhausted.
It's messed up.
As in, I went hiking for 8 hours today and I'm so kaputt. Ich bin heute 8 Stunden gewandert. Ich bin total kaputt. And just like in German, when you say etwas geht kaputt, you also say something goes kaputt in English.
Doppelganger. Doppelgangers are creepy.
Another one which I love hearing in English is doppelganger, especially because
somebody that looks like you,
kind of
or somebody that looks like somebody else.
A rather long German word that even has an umlaut.
That's because it's such a fun word. It's such an awesome word. Look at that word, doppelganger. You can't get a better word than that. That's an amazing word. Just listen to it. Doppelganger. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. Whoever came up with that word.
I mean, okay, in English it's usually written with just an A, but people could also just say look-alike or double in English.
That's not as fun.
Doppelganger. Anyway, I think it's fun.
It's more fun.
I think I first found out about this when I watched the American show How I Met Your Mother in English as a teenager, because that's like a whole theme on that show, to find all the main characters' doppelgangers.
You can also use a different term for doppelganger. Say somebody that looks like you, or, you know, I had this experience one time. I was observing some kids in class, and they were talking about this friend of a friend and somebody that looked like them, and they said, wow, he really looks like Tony, as if Tony got hit by the ugly stick. So that's another phrase. It's like, he looked like Tony if Tony got, like, hit in the face with the ugly stick, and his face was like, Stein.
This one I just recently used in my video on alcohol culture in Germany and the US. And I have to say that it still feels kind of weird to me every time I use
alcohol
this
culture
word in English.
I know Germany.
Or even when I just hear it, because it
beer
actually
is big.
has a completely
I want to go.
meaning in German. Bierstein, or just Stein in English, refers to a beer mug traditionally made out of stoneware, but it can also refer to the more modern glass mugs. While in German, Stein means stone, and the beer mug is called Bierkrug. Some of my German viewers actually commented on my alcohol video and told me that in some parts of Rheinland-Pfalz, in the western part of Germany, people also use the word Stein when they refer to a liter of something. So they would say, ein Stein Bier bitte, 1 liter of beer, please. It seems to be a regional thing, though. I had never heard about this before, and I'm curious if there is any connection to the English use of the word, but I couldn't really find anything about this, so let me know if you know more about it.
Spiel.
The next.
He went on this long-ass spiel about Pop-Tarts. We don't want to hear your obsession with Pop-Tarts.
One is Spiel, and even though this has a different meaning than the word does in German, I really like the English meaning because we don't really have a German equivalent for it.
Spiel, I would think it's like a long-winded explanation of something. Windbag.
In English, Spiel is a kind of speech, especially one that is long and spoken quickly and is intended to persuade the person listening about something.
Spiel.
So this is often used in sales situations, and for example, you could say something like, oh, they gave me the whole spiel about why their university...
Right, she's totally correct. My explanation was not good. This is why she's a good orator, and I'm not.
...is the best in the country. In German, Spiel, capitalized, simply means game, and spielen means to play.
Spielen.
This one is not exactly a loan word from the
Stuhl?
German language, but it does have Germanic origins, and I included it in this list because I personally think that it sounds exactly like the German word Stuhl. But it's actually a so-called false friend because it has a different meaning in the two languages. Stuhl in German is a chair, while Stuhl in English is what we call Hocker in German. Kind of similar, but not quite the same thing. Dachshund.
I thought she was going to also mention about another meaning of stool in like North American slang, or not even slang, just North American English.
Americans first used this word with me, I had no clue what they were talking about because I wasn't familiar
Dachshund,
with
it's
the word,
a dog, right?
And I also couldn't tell that it was supposed to be a German word with the English pronunciation, but now I know that Dachshund can be used in German as well, but it's actually more common to call the dogs Dackel in German. Literally, this compound word consists of Dachs, badger, and Hund, dog. A badger dog, basically. And this is because the dogs were traditionally supposed to crawl into burrows and look for badgers.
People would literally say it here as in dash hound.
In English, this can also be used to describe a Dachshund, wiener dog, but it can also refer to just a wiener sausage, or it's also often used instead of penis. In German, we say Wiener. The German W is pronounced like an English V, and it usually refers to the sausage. Wiener Würstchen would be the long version. It can also refer to a Wiener Schnitzel, which is also something to eat.
Love me some Wiener
Or it
Schnitzel.
can simply be used for a person from the Austrian city of Vienna, which is Wien in German. Wanderlust.
Somebody from Vienna is called a Wiener?
This is kind of an old-fashioned German word
Wanderlust.
that we pronounce Wanderlust, and it's literally the desire to wander. So it means you want to travel. The word was used a lot in the literature of the Romantic era, but you can also call this Reiselust or Fernweh in German, which the last one is also an interesting word because it's kind of like the opposite of Heimweh, which is homesickness. So Fernweh pretty much means far sickness. This one is very...
My wife has a little tattoo, actually, of Wanderlust. It's a very cute little tattoo.
Very similar to the German one, but it's not 100% the same.
Angst.
Angst, capitalized in German.
I feel
German
much angst
basically
at the
just
current
means
political
fear.
climate.
And angst in English is also related to fear, but it describes a broader feeling of anxiety and apprehension. It's often used in connection with teenagers.
I feel much angst for the future.
Angst is what a lot of young people experience throughout puberty. And
Teenage
you can
angst.
also say you're
Very correct.
feeling angsty in English. So in English, it describes more of a general feeling, whereas in German, Angst haben means to be scared of something, and that's usually something a little more specific, like you're scared of the spider. The English meaning of Angst doesn't have a good translation in German, but it could be translated with something like Existenzangst or innere Unruhe or Angstzustände. Kitsch is a concept that's really hard to explain actually, but according to the dictionary, it describes art, decorative objects, or design considered by many people to be ugly, without style, or false, but enjoyed by many other people, often because they are funny. So you could say, his home is full of 1950s kitsch. It means the same thing in German and in English, and it's also pronounced the same. There's also the English adjective kitschy, which is kitschig in German.
Blitzkrieg.
This is a military term and describes
That's the Germans' World War II military tactics, right? When they invaded France and just the Blitzkrieg was just too much, too fast, too quick. They took too much ground too fast, dropping in the parachute people, having those fast panzers just zipping through and then, yeah, just killing everything. A quick sidebar for any German viewers. Have you seen the TV series Dark? Because that show is phenomenal. Whew.
strategy of warfare that includes short and fast attacks. The term is often used in connection with World War II, but it actually had been used way before that. We pronounce it Blitzkrieg in German, and it literally translates to lightning war, because Blitz is lightning and Krieg is war. It's used the same way in both languages, and they even adapted the word blitz as a tactic in American football.
Yep. Schadenfreude.
This seems to be a very popular word in the US. I've been asked about this so many times.
Schadenfreude is real.
What makes it so special is that this concept doesn't even really exist in the English language, which is why there isn't an English word to describe it, which is probably quite a strong statement about the German culture. Schadenfreude consists of Schaden, which means damage or harm, and Freude, which means joy. So this is the joy that you feel when someone else gets harmed or fails. So not very nice. All sports fans should know this one. Fußball.
Schadenfreude is hilarious, and I'm sure there's lots of interesting studies on it, but the reason that people feel joy when watching fail videos and just seeing people generally getting hurt or injured. There's a reason there's a page on Instagram called Kids Getting Hurt that has how many million, probably millions of followers, and Americans being idiots, and all of these different pages that just showcase people doing really stupid things, failing horribly, and usually injuring themselves. And these pages have huge viewership and huge engagement.
In German means soccer, or football in British English. Fußball in English refers to the bar game, which we usually call Kicker, or Tischfußball in German. This is another concept that doesn't have its own English translation, just like Schadenfreude, and therefore the German word is used in English and some other languages too. Americans usually say Zeitgeist.
Well, you see, this word has stayed in the zeitgeist for the past 50 years, and I feel, it's a good word, Zeitgeist. I like Zeitgeist.
In German, we pronounce it Zeitgeist, and this consists of the word Zeit, which means time, and Geist, which means spirit. So Zeitgeist is the spirit of the time, which describes what's going on culturally, religiously, and intellectually during a certain time period. Woodstock was part of the 1960s Zeitgeist, for example. And in English, they even made it an adjective, which we don't even have in German, Zeitgeisty. Schnaps.
I've never heard of Zeitgeisty.
This one I also mentioned in my video on alcohol culture. In German, we spell it like this and say Schnaps, and it means hard liquor. In English, it's mostly used as part of the name of certain liquors, like peppermint schnapps or peach schnapps.
Yep. Wunderkind.
Wunderkind in English, Wunderkind in German, and this
is that a wonder
literally
child?
Translates to miracle child. Wunder is miracle, Kind is child. So it describes a person that is very clever or talented and becomes successful at a young age. One of the most common examples for a Wunderkind is Mozart. Poltergeist. This looks a little bit similar to Zeitgeist. Poltern means to clatter, and Geist means ghost or spirit, and this particularly describes...
And a huge horror movie franchise and horror film by Steven Spielberg, right?
A ghost that makes noises in the house and moves objects. Whether you believe in that or not is a different story.
Schmutz.
And last but not least, the final word on my list is schmutz.
I feel like a lot of these words, for me personally, I have trouble to, like, I know what they mean, but I have trouble defining them. Like a schmutz, it almost sounds like a Jewish type of word, schmutz. I would feel schmutz would be like kind of a schmuck. Oh, schmuck. That's probably why I'm getting the two conflated with each other. Schmuck.
This one is pronounced and used the same way in both languages, and it means dirt. And schmutzi in English or schmutzig in German means dirty.
Oh, it's that simple?
So this was my...
Maybe I was just conflating schmuck and schmutz. I could see schmutz being like a pejorative to use towards somebody, though. Like dirtbag or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm totally incorrect on that.
list of 20 German words that are used in English. And there are many, many more, of course, especially regarding food, like pretzel, bratwurst, or Hefeweizen, just to name a few examples. If you're interested in this, you should also definitely check out the channel Kelly Does Her Thing, because she has talked about German loanwords in English too recently. Let me know in the comments below what other German words you like to use in English and what you thought of the ones that I mentioned. Were there any surprises? Do you use them differently than what I described? Feel free to share your thoughts with me and with everyone else. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out my...
Yeah, these ones I definitely use a lot of them all the time, so it's super interesting how language has evolved and evolves across geographical boundaries and cultures. Super interesting stuff. Big shout out to Feli from Germany. That's a fantastic video. I really enjoyed it a lot, and it's insightful, and it makes me think. So I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it. I like it. Yeah. Hope everybody enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me for this little hangout session. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on Germany because I really want to go to Germany. I want to plan the trip there in the next 2 years. Something like that. Anyways. Peace out. Be chill.